And that's when I said this juicy chemistry didn't work out. Ayurvedic is phenomenal when it's done right, and not just for marketing terminologies. Before the product itself, first you need to show that you have the manufacturing capabilities to produce that product. And research shows that it's able to retain up to 60% more nutrients than a conventionally grown produce.
Welcome to India Innovates, a podcast where we dive into the stories of innovators shaping the future from the heart of India. I'm Vaishnavi.
And I'm Shrinath. Together, we'll explore cutting-edge ideas and breakthrough technologies that are transforming communities, industries, and lives across the globe.
Whether it's a revolutionary startup, a pioneering researcher, or a visionary corporate leader, if they are innovating from India or for India, you'll hear about their stories here.
We'll also delve into the ecosystem that supports them, from the regulations and policies to the contributions of large companies that drive innovation at scale.
Let's uncover how India's unique environment is fostering a wave of creativity and ingenuity.
Hear stories of challenges, triumphs, and inspirations that have driven these changemakers to create and disrupt.
This is India Innovates, where innovation meets inspiration and India takes the center stage. We're excited to welcome Pritesh Asher to India Innovates. Pritesh is the co-founder and CEO at Juicy Chemistry, an organic personal care brand that he co-founded with Megha in 2014.
Juicy Chemistry is India's first certified organic skin and personal care brand, which has over 100 products certified by EcoCert France under the Cosmos standard.
We are thrilled to have Pritesh today with us on India Innovates and hear his stories on Juicy Chemistry's innovation journey. Hi Pritesh, thanks for joining us on India Innovates today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me over today.
Great. So, love the name Juicy Chemistry. Been a consumer for a long time. Absolute fan of the brand. How did you even start conceiving this idea?
First of all, really happy to be here, and thank you so much for this opportunity. I think Juicy Chemistry happened to us back in 2014 when somebody was trying to sell us a natural and organic product. And the reason why that was important to me at that particular point in time was Megha was actually going through a bout of PCOD. She's been doing that for a long time.
Megha is your co-founder?
Megha is my co-founder and my better half. She was going through this PCOD issue for a while, and skin condition kept flaring up for her now and then while she was on medicated products. But they had their own share of difficulties for her: inflammation, redness, irritation. So she was looking to go natural and organic. And that's when somebody tried to sell us in a supermarket a natural and organic product, which from the front of the label said hibiscus, amla, and neem, and just sort of sheer boredom and trying to pretend that I'm helping out Megha on the Sunday chores, I just stuck a conversation with the salesperson and looked at the back of the ingredient list, and I could find petrochemicals, parabens, sulfates, fillers, chemicals, which never made the front of the label. Right? So I couldn't understand the oxymoron where the front of the label is actually screaming natural organic ingredients, but at the back the percentage of natural ingredients was almost close to nil. It was almost a product which was very similar to any other commercial product that was already there. And that actually struck me, and that's when I looked at Megha and I said, this is a product which is claiming to be natural and organic. Is this something that you want to move towards? So he shrugged it off that time and said, that's what is available today, so I might as well try it. But that sort of sparked that interest, and we spoke to family and friends. We understood we were not the only ones who were looking at this from an angle where where do I find a natural and organic product, because they wanted to but they didn't know where to find one, right? So that's when we started ideating and said, listen, at least can we do it for ourselves? If not it's discoverable on the shelves, we should do it ourselves. That's how the interest sort of sparked. And it was very early on in our life as founders of Juicy Chemistry.
But from a common perspective, do you go back, read labels of products?
Usually I just look at the front. I think most people just do that, saying what was written in the front.
Yeah, absolutely. It was sheer happenstance for me.
Okay,
we never do that as a consumer.
But still, the reason why I'm trying to get to this question is, given your background in petrochemicals, is where you're able to relate such list of ingredients.
I wouldn't know what to do with the ingredients also.
Exactly.
It's mostly gibberish to all of us.
Mostly gibberish. And until a cosmetic brand, I think 3 or 4 years is when they started labeling as a differentiator of paraben-free, sulfate-free, especially in the shampoo category.
Honestly, even that, when you start saying free, I have no idea what it means.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
You say sulfate free. Okay, I had no idea what sulfate
So
is. I had
some
no idea what
ex-chemical
this-
free,
No,
right?
what I mean is when they start saying ammonia free, it's like, okay, I didn't know there was ammonia. I don't know why.
In the
not
first
having
place, in the
ammonia-
bottle at all.
Yeah. Why not having it is also a problem.
Yeah, correct.
Or
Yeah.
not a problem.
So my tryst with that is my grandfather, he almost was not coma, but he was not having his consciousness for over 3 years of time, and doctors could just not diagnose what's wrong with him, right? And for large part of his towards the end of life years, he was alive, but he just couldn't make sense of what things were happening. And after multiple treatments and multiple diagnoses is when they found out that the dye chemicals that he had been using for over 45 years have been sedimented on the surface layer of the brain, not even the scalp. So when a doctor had scanned and then said, do you see this black substrate, that is all ammonia, and then that led to this kind of a consciousness. So then is when our family came to know, okay, ammonia's presence in dye can lead you into this.
Oh my, okay,
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
So why I'm taking this anecdote is because at this day of information, where information is available, we are not proactively seeking it unless something an equivalent of this level happens, and then you get sort of
It's too late.
it's too late, right? So yeah, but those were those days. But at least in this day of information, brands like Juicy Chemistry trying to create a category out of natural products is good. And you started when?
We started research in 2014.
Okay.
We sort of commercialized and went to market around 2016.
Right. So 2 years of efforts.
2 years of research, development, understanding, building from scratch, reverse engineering in a lot of sense, to come to a conclusion that, listen, we have a product that is market ready, and we are confident enough of it, to deliver on its promise. But it never started like that, actually. Like,
And
we
it's
failed
a
multiple
homegrown
times.
brand, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is the other part of it, right? So commercial big companies, I don't understand. I've always never understood why startups. Basically, the premise of what we are talking today, right? Startups have such an agility to be that innovative, do that 2 years of R&D. Is it just asking from a point of view? Is it that difficult for larger companies to launch, say, all organic, all pure, all naturally
I don't think
potent?
it stems from that angle at all. I think
Okay.
at the very DNA, it's required for a brand to understand what they want to do. Right? As a DNA, you need to be ready to put in that kind of efforts, the energy, the R&D, and understand at the core what do you want to offer. I don't think back when larger organizations actually started off with that motive in the first place. Right? So for us, it was of a personal need that actually became a passion to understand a little deeper, to understand the nuances of formulations, to understand the efficacy of these formulations, to understand claims, and to actually focus on greenwashing as a very big space that consumers get into, because they always read the front of the label and not at the back of the label. For example, now we know there is an ammonia-free dye that's available, but till somebody said it, we didn't know that ammonia
Yeah,
was actually a
yeah.
part of the formulation in the first place, right?
Yeah.
So I think that actually stemmed a lot of curiosity in us as people to understand why can't we actually have a simple formulation that does the job? Why does it have to be complicated? When you're saying that there is a certain ingredient in it, you're using it because it actually is supposed to do something,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
it's not just a marketing gimmick,
Yeah.
right? So that's what we wanted to come and solve for,
Yeah.
right? One, understand that side of the business where it's not just a marketing gimmick. The other side of the business for us was to deliver, efficacy, because you're not coming just because it's a sweet smelling experience. You're coming because you have a specific concern that you want to solve. How do I solve that, and not just make it a product which is just another sweet smelling experience?
Yeah.
I think that the bridge of utilization in our everyday use cosmetics and to solve for this problem is what Juicy Chemistry is all about.
I think coming back to that large company, there's also a challenge that anything that they build has to scale. And their scale is extremely different,
right,
right?
right.
Whereas brands like you can grow because you have a personal problem. You suddenly start saying, hey, I have this market, probably not large for them, but large for you,
Yeah.
that can make business sense. And then you say, okay, let me get into this.
Yes, absolutely.
But I must say, I love your name. How did that come about? Juicy Chemistry, right?
Yeah.
It sounds good to say. How did that come about?
So this is a result of a failed batch that happened 2 a.m. in the morning.
Okay.
Because we were so immersed in research and development, and we loved experimenting in our small kitchen. And the entire day I had researched a lot about the chemistry of soap making, right? And was so eager to get into the kitchen, try out. I had all the setup done, all the ingredients sourced, and I was ready to go at it. And although it was late at night, but it was a good time for me to actually start doing that experimentation, because during the morning times you're so distracted and things like that. It was very peaceful for me to actually focus on what I'm doing. But because we wanted to remove things that absolutely were not needed in the formulation and substitute that with nutrients for the skin and hair, we started thinking that let's experiment with fresh produce. So when I did that at 2 a.m. in the morning, the result of it was expected to be a bright, beautiful, sunshine, orange-looking soap, but it eventually became a big goop inside my manufacturing setup. And I just screamed out to Megha and I said, listen, this is not what I was expecting. I mean, all this work that I did is just not culminating into anything. It's just resulted in this big ball of goop. And she's like, the chemistry behind this is not working out properly. I said, that's because it's probably juicy ingredients that I tried to use. All the juices and the fresh ingredients I tried to use, something didn't sort of go right. And that's when I said this juicy chemistry didn't work out. Right? So that the phrase that was used somewhere in the morning, the next day when we were trying to create a Facebook page for the for the brand, we didn't know what to name the brand. And that sort of stuck from last night. It's like, let's just name it Juicy Chemistry because it fits, because it just fits, because we are all about the chemistry of natural ingredients, and how we are doing it is extremely juicy. So let's just focus that for now. And then when we spoke about it to family and friends, they really liked the name, so it just stuck with us.
And I think the interesting part is most of the natural products seem to have, usually you have this sage sitting there and saying, oh, there's ancient wisdom and so on. But the packaging is quite dull, or the names are usually very dull. It's heavy names, right? But yours is
Sanskrit inspired.
Inspired. No, whether the
green,
ingredients,
yellow, orange.
some of them might be, as he says, it's greenwashing, that you want to portray an image.
Portray something that you're
but internally it might be something else. But the impression that they give is it's something very scientific and so on. But yours is far more fun.
Yeah, the branding and the packaging, even the positioning of the brand, I feel is very modern. It's playful. It's very refreshing in a sense, right? And it doesn't literally scream out that it's an Indian brand, because it doesn't mention Ayurveda anywhere to begin with. To your point, then it doesn't have any elements of design that it says Indian or it's Ayurveda, or even beauty. For a fact, you don't endorse faces of women or any other. It's just a natural, organic, hand-drawn or illustrated illustrations of probably ingredients that you use in your. So what was the thought about that? Why did you, was it a conscious decision to deviate from all the typical narratives that were there?
It is a conscious decision, and the reason why it was a conscious decision is because during our research and during our stint with talking to our consumers very closely, one input that we kept getting was that consumers thought that Ayurvedic was good, right? They never said Ayurvedic is bad or natural is bad, but their perception was limited to that ye kharab nahi hai, ya ye harm nahi karega, right? But nobody understood the science behind organic and why organic is actually going to solve the concerns that they were actually facing. One feedback was it doesn't do bad. The other feedback was it's not that great to use. The Ayurvedics, the fragrances, the uptons, the tylams didn't feel luxurious enough to use. Right? It felt medicinal to use on an everyday basis,
that's
right?
an interesting point, yes.
So that was our cue to say that, listen, I mean, that narrative needs to change, right? We need to bridge this gap. Ayurvedic is phenomenal when it's done right, and not just for marketing terminologies. So we understood that, but we also understood that consumers wanted something that they would want to be a part of their daily ritual, right? They wanted something aspirational in nature. They wanted something that they could call their own. They wanted something that
Convenient?
it's
Because,
convenient and at the same time didn't look dull. It didn't look typical, right? And that actually the utility and the efficacy needed to be married.
Speaking of efficacy, I was earlier speaking to you, right? When say 15 years before, 20 years before, largely, at least in India, we started off with beauty standards, meaning aspiring for a fairer skin. As far as I recollect, that was majorly, okay, beauty means probably, okay, little bit on thick hair, so where your parachutes started coming in, dense hair, long hair, black hair. But as far as skin was there, it used to be largely around fairness as a piece,
Gold
right?
standard.
Yeah. But
You
I'm
had shade
glad
cards,
that it
right?
has changed now.
Shade cards which said how far it could you
Yeah,
come
shade
down.
cards. Shade cards of skin tones measure yourself almost like a KPI of product performance. So speaking of efficacy and product performance, largely owing to say the stuff that we use household, like you use a chemical ingredient, things become cleaner,
Hmm.
right? Typically, it could be your cleaning agents, it could be any of your agents, and to a large part your fairness creams also. And you recall you used to get those oxygen masks, overnight bleaches. In about 5-10 minutes, you will become a shade fairer. So that all used to happen. It used to be a rage among some of my friends and groups.
Not something I followed.
Not something you followed. You probably have good genes, so that's like. So, what's changed? Because the point I'm trying to make here is chemicals means larger efficacies. Whereas if you are doing, your age-old rituals of putting hot gingerly oil, nalena that you call, it is a practice that needs consistency.
Correct.
So every Saturday you have to do it, or there's an elaborate ritual. So that also could be one of the reasons of why natural
Probably I'd
becomes.
see it a little differently also, right? Natural was what your parents or grandparents did. And then
Yeah.
it was a sign of modernity to move away and say, I'm not now using shikakai, I'm going to use this.
Hmm.
Convenience, but it's also moving away from the past.
But yeah, that's true. But also see, if you take shigakai for example, it doesn't foam. At least the homemade ones don't foam,
Yeah.
right?
You want it in a shampoo where it does.
So you need it because then you see it lathers better, which then psychically it tells you, okay, the dirt is moving away
Cleansing-
faster,
it's cleansing better.
So what's the difference now? You're going all natural. You are bringing in formulations that are, example, foaming, right? Typically natural material, unless you put like a nut soap or something, it doesn't foam. So how do you bring about natural products are also efficient, efficacy is higher, potency is higher. So what was the science behind that?
See, for us, it was very clear. We have nothing against chemicals, synthetics in that sense, right?
Okay.
They do what they're supposed to do. Our problem was that they were getting portrayed in a way where it was good for you, and natural was bad. The problem is that natural is not bad. Natural is bad when it's just marketed as natural, and not understanding the physical chemical properties of the ingredients, the efficacy, the science behind organic, the science behind formulation gets left behind, and you're only talking about, hey, listen, I'll use sulfates, I'll use petrochemicals, I'll use colors and synthetics, but I'm going to call it a natural shampoo. Our problem was that if you're call a spade, don't hide behind the pretext of natural and Ayurvedic and organic, and still sort of formulate the same product in a different packaging and say this is better for you.
Okay.
Our problem is that right now, to say that chemicals don't work is a wrong statement, right? I mean, it's never been natural versus chemicals.
Yeah.
Right? For us, it's been the science of natural. Why science of natural works, and for us, our expertise, got interesting for us because of us holding on to that line, right? We wanted to get deeper into the science of organic, whilst we didn't do the other way around. For us, it was more about sustainable results, right? When you are using something, it's about the biggest thing when you are doing self-care or personal care is not the product as much, it's the consistency with which you do it.
I want to
Right.
make a small observation here. But when it is about beauty, in most sense, especially with Gen Zs, they want immediate results.
That's true.
So if you have a pimple, overnight you use a pimple patch and it's supposed to go away the next morning. That's the speed of things at which we want, right?
True.
So if I'll keep Ayurveda aside.
Right.
Natural takes its time. Right, so even if you want a healthier skin, you do your tomato mask or potato mask. It's not going to make you one shade, higher or lighter in one go.
Yeah.
So then I really see with the customer psyche and the speed at which they want to look good or feel better, etc. How would you make them you use it, you will start seeing results in 3 months from time of usage. That's the typical time that it takes for all natural products to start actually working on your skin.
Right.
So overnight versus 3 months.
Yeah.
So how do you battle that?
See, you
out?
have to understand what you're actually going for, right? Understand the goal, the goal post keeps shifting, right? One is that you have acne and you need to get rid of acne, right? So I need a quick fix, right? I have a headache, let me pop a pill, it's going to go away, right? So that's great because you're solving for it for that time, but you're not solving for the larger problem, which is going to keep persisting because you're not changing your lifestyle, your habits, or your food intake, stress levels, so on and so forth. There are multiple reasons for it, right? So you pop a pill, you need to get to work, you need things done.
Yeah.
You pop a pill, get on with life. Just giving you an example of it. Skincare doesn't work like that.
No,
But of course,
that's true. Yeah.
it's a great example to give because you are solving for it then. But there is also a larger underlying problem, right? That how do you deal with that? Because you can't just keep popping pills. You need to change. You need to make efficacious decisions for your skin and personal health, and that's where brands like us come in and say, listen, we're not going to take forever, right? We are understanding the biome, the skin biome, understanding why things happen, why we do what we do as a brand, and we are giving you sustainable alternatives, which, when done right, has the potential to solve the concerns that you're facing sustainably over a long period of time without having results which are going to be bad for you in the long run, right? So you can't keep doing what you're doing, quick fixes every time. You also need to understand that there is a larger underlying concern that you need to address.
So it looks like it's not only about aesthetics then.
Yeah, absolutely not. So we are not in the business of aesthetics at all. We are in the business of skin and hair health.
Hair health.
Right?
Okay.
Healthy and beautiful skin is naturally radiant and glowing. What we solve for is nutrients to the skin and hair. We don't solve for aesthetics, just immediate aesthetics. I keep giving this example a lot during my talks when I say you want to get healthy, right? A body doesn't, you've been eating wrong, you've been sleeping wrong, you're taking stress, you're in the screen all the time. Your cycle is not that great. But listen, I'm going to hit the gym today, and I expect to stand in front of the mirror in the morning tomorrow and have a six-pack ab. I'm sorry, our body doesn't work like that.
Unfortunately,
it doesn't. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. Right? You got to put in the effort.
Yeah.
And
I
that's.
have one question here, just before maybe I forget, because he spoke so much about this becoming a consistent channel or effort, right? And addressing issues to the core. There is this debate of whether wellness is an internal thing or an external thing, right?
What is that?
So basically it depends on what you eat, what you consume, how you consume, when you consume. Could be from food point of view, could be from a sleep point of view, stress point of view, right? The point I'm trying to come back is there are many nutraceutical brands that have come. The other day we were speaking about brands like Setu Nutrition or The Good Bug. So if they say their claim is if you fix the bugs in your gut, you then almost immediately have the reflection of it in your hair, in your nails, in your skin. You dullness is gone, radiance is coming, right? So how do you? So now the concept is shifting. If you are saying health and you're saying skin and hair health, right? So then you're not essentially say brand that is just from an aesthetic skincare perspective, which is largely a portfolio of products. You're also somewhere eating into these nutraceutical products.
To answer that question, I think is beauty inside and out, right? What happens inside out and then outside in. Both are equally important. It's a holistic approach to lifestyle generally. If you just bucket it like that, it's generally it's something that you can say, listen, I'll do this, but I won't do that. Right? If I do this, then I won't do that. It doesn't work like that.
Okay.
All of us are beautifully individual in our own, make, in our DNA. Something that suits me probably does not suit you. Something that's really good for me is not good for somebody else, right? So understanding your own biome, your genome is very important for you to then take decisions basis on that, rather than saying, listen, that person said so it's good to do because that person said it's good to do. It's great as an overall direction on where you need to go, but what you need to do as an individual, you need to do. Just generally, exercise is good. There is no doubt about it. Yes, you sweat, and it has results not just from inside. It also has external benefits as well, right, on your skin and hair health. There is no doubt about it. But how do you do it? How much of it is good for you? Is all something that you need to understand by doing. And the marriage between having right from inside out and outside in is equally important. You can't say I'm going to eat healthy and listen, I'm okay to apply anything on my face, and I don't know if I'm doing the regimes right, but I'm going to continue doing those regimes. It is going to be harmful for you, right? Or you say that, listen, I'll do everything right at the topical layer of my skin, but hey, listen, I'm okay to go and have junk every single day, and I'm okay to have a very sedentary lifestyle, and I'm okay to do all of those things. Then to expect a result overall is not going to be possible. It's a healthy balance of both the things, right? It's as much as nutrition inside as much as you put on top.
So one thing I've been meaning to ask you, since you've been talking a lot about health and hair health and so on, which segment of users are you really targeting? When do people start getting conscious about, I need to take care of my skin health and hair health?
Preventively and consistently. These are the two
I
words I feel.
That comes later, right? Initially, you might just want to say, hey, there's a cool brand that I want to get in. But who are your customers?
So essentially, we are servicing as many people as possible, right? And all age groups, all genders. Now, we have baby care products as well. Like at the essential offering of Juicy Chemistry is skin and hair health. It doesn't matter which age group that you actually belong to.
Okay.
Now, Juicy Chemistry is also India's first certified organic skin and personal care brand that has even baby care. It also has men care, care for women, care for everybody, as many people as possible. And of course, our formulations are different for different requirements, right? So essentially, what we're doing is we are formulating for a particular concern or a particular age group. Right? For example, kids, our formulations are very different than what teenage skin requires, right? Or and a mature skin requires is very different than what a teenage skin requires. So our formulations essentially encapsulate the nutrients that are required for that particular age. Now, with younger skin, obviously, does not require much care. It just requires cleansing, thorough, good cleansing without the harsh ingredients that are found in many labels today. Can I give gentle cleansing and nourishing products, both leave-in and rinse-off, right? So rinse-off is basically your shampoos, your body washes, your soaps, because they give that gentle care. They cleanse thoroughly without stripping the natural oils from the baby. Post-wash, can I give a nutrition-rich oil that can form a barrier and prevent moisture loss? Right? Can I give a product which is going to be helpful for their diaper rashes or any other concern that the baby has, like for example dusting powders without talc, without fragrances. That's our line for kids. But our teenage line is more specific towards the hormonal changes that the individual goes through during that phase of their life, right? So hyperactive skin, oily skin, glands are really sebaceous in that time. Giving a perfect environment for the acne to sort of thrive over there. How can I give a gentle cleanse, tone, treat? Simple regimes, but very effective and very potent. Right? That's been our approach. Right? For aging skin, obviously, we are losing a lot more moisture. The ellagen and the collagen production is much lower post your 40s. How can you support that and not have a reactive skincare, but a supportive skincare? That's where we come in.
It looks like the innovation arc, the premise of the podcast. So you speaking about, you've understood your customers really well, their use cases, their requirements well. So if there is somebody else innovating like what you've been doing, could you let us know what kind of innovation arc the company goes through, from a product line goes through? As an entrepreneur founder, you have to strike a balance between R&D and commercialization. How do you come up with these formulations quickly? How do you go? What are your clinical trials like? What is your study like? How do you take them to market, mainstream it, and start seeing the revenues and the cash flows?
It seems like a long cycle, no?
It seems like
it absolutely is.
cycle.
It absolutely is. So for us, Juicy Chemistry, we didn't have like a benchmark, right? Because essentially, like you said, Vaishnavi, we were category creators in that sense, right? Because nobody was doing organic as a way of delivering nutrients to the skin and hair on application, right? So that's when we came in and said, listen, yes, it's natural and organic, but so what? So what if it's natural and organic? Does it work? The question that we asked ourselves was, will it help solve a concern? Right? It could be natural, it could be organic, but if it doesn't work for me, or it doesn't work, what it's supposed to do, and if it doesn't do that, what good is it? Even if it's natural and organic.
I think that's great,
right?
because so many of these products get sold only because they're natural.
Exactly.
There's also misinformation about natural, saying everything natural is great for you. It's not.
No, absolutely not.
Nature has enough things to kill you.
Absolutely. Look, and that's what we wanted to bust the myth, because just because it's natural, it's not always good for you. And just because it's chemical, it's not always bad. Right? There are more than enough research that has been done in the field of dermatologists coming in, formulators coming in together, creating phenomenal synthetics that mimic plant material as well. Like that's absolutely, it's proven, it's writing on the stone. There is no denying about it, right? But where we came from is we understood that whilst I don't need the synthetics, how do I actually use the naturally available compounds and use the expertise to deliver them to the skin and hair on application, right? That's where our expertise came in.
What's your team like? Do you have researchers, dermatologists, or is it only your background of?
Well, we didn't start like that, Vaishnavi, to be very honest with you. It was Megha doing a lot of research because of her background in criminology, in journalism. She specializes in research, and that really helped me to sort of narrow down the path of formulation, because essentially I used to love formulating, even in my previous petrochemical business. That used to help me get up from my bed, and that used to be my bread and butter. So formulations is something where my heart lied, but Megha really helped narrow down in terms of the research, in terms of understanding those nutrients, in understanding which plant profiles do we want to work with for us to even start looking at what we wanted to do. So essentially, from the product, when we started off, we absolutely had no idea, because we are not from the field. We are not experts in the formulation sense of it. So like you said, we were category creators. We didn't have a benchmark of who to look up to and say, listen, ये emulate करते हैं,
Right.
या फिर ये direction में जाते हैं,
Right.
right? So it was a lot of trial and error in the beginning. We used to stand behind 500 rupee stalls, Sunday markets, try and sample the products out that we used to make in our kitchen, just to get feedback. Does it work for you? Does it what is it that you think is missing from the product? Is it the texture? Is it the smell? Is it the usability? Or is it the storage of the product? Is it product convenient to use? A lot of these questions that we had, and then we used to just go back at the end of the day and understand, is it right? Are we in the right direction or not? And then we started eliminating things that we wanted to correct, like process of elimination.
Small deviation here I would like to take, because with post-COVID, I have seen a lot of D2C brands pop up, and for most parts of it, people are doing such creams or face masks or similar smaller items from kitchens. So if somebody like that watching our podcast today wants to understand, okay, now I am doing stuff from my kitchen. Now, how do I formalize the entire process?
Right.
How do I get, say, certifications, or how do I clinically get
Or
it
what do I
tested?
need?
What do
Yeah.
I need?
To get off the ground.
To
Yeah.
get
To get
off the
ground.
ground, and also formalize this, right? Okay,
Yeah.
this mud mask probably is my grandmom's recipe, but if I have to commercialize it as a brand, what do I need to go through as a brand? Because
Yeah.
you've worked that journey
Yes.
from home kitchen to
Yeah.
a certified company today. So how tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think in the continuation of that, I think the answer lies as well. When we started off, formulating, it was just a concoction of things that we thought will work, right? But it was not a scientific method in approaching skin and hair health, or are the nutrients or the claims that I'm making actually, can it be backed?
Okay.
Right? And that's where our interest peaked even further, because we were a kitchen brand. We started off with nothing in terms of capital investment, but it was more of a passion-driven project, personal project that we wanted to actually delve into. But like you said, that also has a journey of the product itself, right? So when we started off from there, we didn't know what next. Like, what were the certifications that were required? How do I actually go and tell this consumer that, listen, this product has gone through its cycle and it's actually now ready for a commercial launch?
Yeah.
Or does it have a product market fit? And I think that those answers actually came in when we started doing, understanding the formalization of the business.
Okay.
Right? That's when we said, listen, now that we have this product, we're fairly confident that it's gone through 3 or 4 iterations, sometimes 8, 9 iterations in the development of the process, and we are fairly confident that this product will hit the right market, because we've done that grind now in the consumer understanding. And that's when we actually started saying, listen, first you need to actually be registered with the authorities for it to be actually a
those?
sellable product.
Who are those?
First, there are 2 lines of certifications that you can take to formalize this business first, in order to be able to sell a personal care or a cosmetic product. Right? One is the Drug and Cosmetics Authority of India, and the other is the Ayush. That's where predominantly all the Ayurvedic or the natural formulations also can go there
So
and
this
get
is
certified.
like an FSSAI equivalent for
food.
Equivalent
FSAI is for food, but
yeah,
this is
equivalent for
FSSAI
food.
equivalent for beauty and
personal care, right? So unless and until you have a license because this is something that you are claiming that the consumer will use and beautify, in the right sense of it, beautify the product or alter the way in which the consumer is going to look and feel, right? So it needs to be regulated first of all,
Right.
right? So that is extremely important for any entrepreneur first, before they actually put the product out on the commercial shelves, to be compliant with any of these 2 organizations, for you to actually legally sell the product on the marketplaces, offline, or wherever you're, even if you're a small home business. And the reason why these checks and balances are there in place is because for the safety of the consumer as well,
Absolutely.
right?
So just asking from a point of view of a person watching the show, right? So what do you do? So you present your products, formulations, and then do they ask? What do they ask for? Do they test themselves, or do they recommend a series of tests that reports need to come in?
Yeah, no. So the way it works is a series of things that you can do. First, before the product itself, first you need to show that you have the manufacturing capabilities to produce that product.
Okay.
Right.
But at
Now,
what scale?
Look, it could be at any scale. The thing is, now there are 2 things in this, right? Now, one, a lot of people watching this podcast will say, listen, you say that I have to have 1,000 square feet of place basically required to actually manufacture soaps. That's a minimum requirement, 100 square meters. And if you want to produce oil or a hair oil or anything in that category, you need another 10 square meters. If you're doing lip balms, if you're doing creams, that's another 10 square meters. Now, and you need a lab, and you need people to be qualified to operate that lab. You need a chemist on board. And all of these things are actually initial requirements. Now, anybody listening to the podcast can say that, listen, I don't have the kind of funds to go and actually put this. Now, government has provisions within this law where you can go to a manufacturer and say, listen, this is my formula. I think this is what I want to launch. And because you have a manufacturing facility and a spare capacity available, will you manufacture this for me?
So it's like an
under your
outsourced-
license.
outsourced manufacturing.
It's called a loan license.
Loan
Right?
license,
It's a loan
okay.
license where you loan the license from a manufacturer and say, listen, because you have the stirrers, you have the measuring equipments, you have chemists on board, and you basically comply with all the rules and regulations, which is quite a lot, according to the Drugs and
So
Cosmetic
what
Authority.
are the schemes? What are these? Where are these bodies located? How do you find them online? How do you go in person?
These are available in every state. Every state has Drug and Cosmetic Licensing Authority. You just approach them, and they're absolutely super helpful in terms of guiding you on how you should go about it. And then
Wonderful.
once the product is there, obviously there are compliance about claims, about how you can, what you can claim on the product, how the ingredients should be listed, what is the process of manufacturing that you actually did, what were the tests that you can actually conduct on this product for it to be shelf ready.
Licensed and legally
Shelf ready.
shelf-ready.
Legally
Coming back to
shelf
the
ready.
previous one, if you go to a loan license, you can still claim that it's your product, but you're just showing that the facilities are from someone else.
Absolutely, like so it's manufactured by XYZ, marketed by
By,
so and so,
Mm.
right? Because the manufacturing facility is not yours.
Mm.
In fact, a lot of the D2C companies
Brands,
today don't have their own manufacturing facilities at all.
Mm.
They focus on formulations and they focus on what they need to do in terms of product branding, social media, and all of those aspects of the business, while taking away the responsibility of manufacturing on their own shoulders.
Mm.
Juicy Chemistry as a brand, because we still can't go anywhere else because we own a lot of the IP of the fine formulations we do. We don't have actually the luxury of actually going outside and outsourcing our ingredients, and therefore we hold that part of the business very close to our heart because that's where the magic happens
So
for
you
us.
have your own facility?
Absolutely, yes.
And you're one of the few well-known brands from Coimbatore in this space. Right?
Yes.
Probably the only one. I don't know if there's anyone else from.
Because
that's there
Coimbatore
to-
traditionally is known for
Textiles,
textiles
manufacturing. Yeah.
It's an industrial hub.
It's an industrial hub,
Yes, and that's
As
how
a
it's known.
Consumer, as a consumer, I don't know how many.
Yeah, look, it
brands
just
there.
happened to us, right? Because my father moved down to Coimbatore when I was pretty young. Called home forever. I mean, was not there in between for some years, pursuing our studies abroad and everything. But after coming back, Coimbatore was home, right? So I mean, everything stemmed from there for
Okay.
us, right? And obviously, you're living in a world where connectivity is not an issue at all.
That's true.
In fact, Juicy Chemistry not only manufactures over 150 SKUs, but we work with over 550 ingredients, out of which almost 20% of the ingredients are sourced from around the world.
Walk us through a little bit on your community practice, produce practice. You work with a lot of farmers, I
Yes,
read online.
yes. So when
Directly
we-
from farm to your
Absolutely.
okay.
From farm to our
Factory.
manufacturing factories, yes. For us, that's a very important cogwheel in our promise to efficacy for the consumer, right? So
Okay.
whenever we look at formulations, we don't look at standardized synthetics. That's our DNA, right? We have nothing against standardized synthetics as such, but we found gold when we looked at natural ingredients, right? That's where our expertise comes in. We know how to transfer those nutrients, ensure that they don't lose their efficacy in the manufacturing process. So we work with farmers directly, both locally and internationally as well, to source the most potent ingredient grown in the most serene environments in the world, organically, without use of any insecticides, pesticides, fungicides, no GMOs. And research shows that it's able to retain up to 60% more nutrients than a conventionally grown produce. So we know that the burst of nutrients that we're going to be getting from these ingredients is going to be unmatched.
So you're at a farming level itself, you are organic?
Or we don't promote non-organic farming. The produce needs to come from an organic source, which basically is the soil. So
Okay.
the soil needs to be conditioned for 3 years before the crop can actually start getting
Because
labeled as
labeled as
organic.
organic,
yeah.
Right? So it needs to be conditioned. It needs to turn over multiple times. And the first year crop, the second year crop, the third year crop comes in, and they are called first year, second year, third year. And post the third year, the crop is organic
Right.
by nature. So the nutrients coming in from there are of the highest potency for skin and hair, and that's what we want to tap, and that's what we want to include in our manufacturing practices. Therefore, it's not just about quick fixes. It's a way of life for the consumers.
So in terms of expansion, right? So you said you have forayed into baby care, and why does largely healthcare, skincare, beauty routines are, as Shrinath was saying, limited only to women?
Unfortunately, I think we've done a very bad job at communicating this. Essentially, we are not just for women.
Okay.
Right? Like I said, our promise is self-care. So it's supposed to be done by everything. And I don't remember the last time I've used any other product apart from Juicy Chemistry's line of products, because of course
You are the promoter.
that's there. But we also know the kind of results that it's been giving us, our larger extended family of our consumers as well. So I think we've done a bad job in telling the men audience that self-care is not just for women, right? It's basically a way of taking care of yourself with the best ingredients that are available from nature.
Do
That's it.
men not take self-care seriously?
I think that's changed a lot in the last half a decade. It's much more prominent today, where men are actually taking the effort of taking care of themselves. Look, we live in a social media world today, any which ways, right? And we're all up for taking care of ourselves, men and women. Men have shown that intent much more
Is it
stronger in
influenced
the
by
last 5
women?
years. Look, I think the decision maker remains the woman,
Women.
right?
And what do you see? Who's likely to be your loyal, consistent, sticky customer profile?
Look, having done this journey for the last decade now, what we see is the younger consumer is slightly more jumpy in nature, a little bit more flirtatious to say that, listen, it's okay for me to try out newer, more products that are coming my way. They're also intrigued by the formulations. They're intrigued by the influencers that are talking about the product, not necessarily thinking about the long-term skin health.
So
I'm
what
looking
age
at
is this? What age group
I would
is
say starting from about 15, 16 to about 24, 25.
At that time, you don't think of anything long.
You're really not thinking about long term, right? And you want to try out everything, right?
Okay.
I want to
See what fits for me.
I'm exploring, right? That's my exploratory territory, right? I mean,
But
that's
given
what I'm
your
doing. But
pricing range, because obviously it is organic and all that, for 15, 16, 18, say up to till 19, 20, this price range works well for them, or is it mostly the parents spending for the kid?
I think it's both. But if you look at Juicy Chemistry's positioning and pricing as well, compare it to some of the luxury brands that are out there, we consciously took an effort to not price it uber luxury.
Okay.
Right. Whilst the quality of the ingredients, the research, the development, the time it's taken for us to get to where we are, we've priced it very affordable luxury. Right. Our price points
You're
are
still
between.
in the luxury category though.
We are slightly more than a commercial product for sure. There is no doubt about that, and we are premium in nature, given the kind of product proposition we
Fair
have.
enough, yeah.
But we've not priced it uber luxury
Okay.
because we want as many people as possible to experience what organic can do, not just in the short term but also in the long term. So we've priced it in a manner in which where many even the younger consumers don't feel that they have to pay an arm and a leg for it for self-care.
So what changes between you and say Forest Essential?
Uh,
Though they are in the luxury Ayurveda,
Correct.
whatever positioning that they are after.
Uh,
Because your products, you say your claim to fame is efficacy, potency.
Yeah.
Their claim to fame, or an equivalent brand's claim to fame is we are Ayurveda. We are using extremely exotic ingredients. So where does, and then you have celebrity brands in between, like your 82E or whatever.
Yeah.
So in between all this mix, how do you find your differentiation?
Look, we've been very clear right from the inception of the company that whilst there are many skin and personal care brands, we just didn't want to be another sweet smelling experience. For us, it was very clear that a skin and hair care should be an immersive experience for the mind, body and soul. It's not just a topical thing that you say that, okay, fine, I'm using it because it's luxurious. For us, our offering is much more deeper than that. Our offering is the science of organic, right? Why use a particular product? Every single ingredient actually earns its place in a formulation. It actually is an active part of the formulation itself. It's not a base QS with a fragrance with some active herbs in it and marketed it premium because some celebrity is talking about it. For us, it was very clear. We want to solve a problem in the most sustainable way possible and in the most efficacious way possible. Right? Therefore, you will see not just short-term results but also long-term results. For us, the science behind that formulation or that organic became a very big differentiator than whatever else is there in the market. For example, our chili horsetail hair oil, ours is the only oil probably in the world uses chili seed oil as a ingredient that helps with promotion of hair growth. And our products are not just claiming and we were very clear about it, right? The reason why Juicy Chemistry started was where somebody was making a claim to be national organic. And that's what we fell for. So we said as a brand, we will build trust, we will build traceability, and we will build transparency in every single aspect of the business. So if you're saying that this is a hair growth oil, I, first of all, as a consumer of that product, want to know, ये कैसे होता है hair growth? What is it in it that promotes hair growth? So we said we will put it to test. We will put beauty to test, right? We will put our claims to test, and we have every single product tested for efficacy. For example, 354% increase in hair growth and 64% reduction in hair fall within the first 28 days of use is a clinically proven statement that I can make because it's there on paper, it's been tested on people. We've have the progress journeys, documented extremely clearly for every consumer to actually come and visit our website and actually dissect that information and ask us questions. Why are you saying something? Why is this organic, right? And if you look at the back of our label, we will not just say because we are organic. We actually carry a badge of honor for that particular product, which is a certification that's been given by a third-party agency. We are not claiming to be organic. We are proving to the consumers that the due diligence is being done on your behalf by a third-party agency, which has no direct monetary benefit if we claim this to be organic. Right? So we are, although a private organization, but it is a third party nonetheless who is giving us strict guardrails. ये कर सकते हो, ये नहीं कर सकते हो.
Okay.
कहाँ से material लेना है? Who's going to be our approved supplier? Where are you going to be storing these materials? What can you claim on the label? For example, our lip balm is 100% certified organic, 0% water, 100% plant functional actives.
So since you've been in this space for so long, what trends do you see that others getting in should sort of look at?
In beauty and personal
beauty
care,
and personal care.
specifically, look, I think for us, we are now very strongly looking at biotechnology as a way of delivering efficacy in all our formulations as we go along.
What part of biotech?
Specifically focusing on cell health, basically, and how we are able to tap into earlier extracts that we could actually never lay our hands on. Like, for example, today, Juicy Chemistry works very closely with our Australian research and development team, which sits out of Australia, and they work with native extracts, present in the local regions, to tap into the cellular extracts that have never earlier thought would be possible to get in a stabilized form. For example, vitamin C is a very unstable compound, right? Predominantly, if you see in the market today, all of it, if not most of it, would be standardized synthetic. For example, vitamin C comes in 10%, 15%, 20%, sometimes as high as 30%, but it is a synthetic form of vitamin C. Not that it's not efficacious. A molecule is a molecule. But today we are able to tap into a cacao plum, which is the world's largest known source of vitamin C, through a cellular extraction process where we are able to get the liquid serum with a base of glycerine and water through a cellular extraction process which taps into the water-soluble part of the plant species and deliver it to skin and hair as if it would be alive in a plant. It's exactly how the plant species would work alive, keeping those micronutrients extremely potent and stable in a serum form today, which was never possible earlier, right? So we are finding new and more technologies through working with a lot of research and development partners across the world. We also work with a lot of R&D facilities in Spain and also in Europe to now tap into these molecular extracts which absolutely were never available to us earlier, and then to see them function, to see them actually reverse cellular damage is phenomenal to see firsthand. So I think at Juicy Chemistry now it's all going to be about innovation in that direction.
So you'd say even others getting in, these are interesting fields to get in.
Absolutely, absolutely. Look, more the merrier, honestly speaking. I think we are done with substandard products that are there in the market today. India as a consumer story is evolving so beautifully today. The revolution of read the back of the label, ask the brands why they do what they do. Consumers want to be attached to the story of why we are doing what we are doing, right? And that's what we see as future of innovation, even with us in skin and hair care space.
So it's going to be a mix of science and story.
Absolutely. Look, it cannot be any other way, right? You have to tell the consumer, you're doing good, yes, but how you're doing good? What is it that is going to add value to them as a consumer and to the society at large as well? So I think that's very important for consumers to also understand that they are a part of something that's not just about them, it's larger community as well.
And I think sometimes the positioning makes such a difference. I remember reading an article where someone said, we should just label Chyawanprash, which every mother feeds a child. We should name it something like artisanal ancient jam.
It's phenomenal, right? Look at the perception.
Yeah.
It immediately changes the way you look at the product, right?
Yeah.
And that's a brilliance
Because you
of
consume
marketing.
an idea. Yeah, you consume an idea before you consume the product.
Absolutely. It's a brilliant way of doing it, I think. I'll definitely make a note of that.
Great. So glad to have this conversation.
No, absolutely, pleasure is mine. I think it was great to relive some of those early days, like how we started, the entire story of, how, products came along. It's brilliant to live it along with you guys today.
And it's also in a way, setting the path for, or making it a little bit easier for innovators who are going to come along the way in the future. So thanks, Pritesh, for taking out so much
Thank you
of your
so
time.
much. Thank you so much. It's
And,
been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.